Just a few clouds around overnight tonight, according to the WVTT Severe Weather Action Team. Low temperature, Alexa, it's going to be freezing, 32 degrees outside overnight.
Doesn't look like there's going to be any precipitation for Thanksgiving, but looks like snow's right around the corner.
Absolutely. Lows throughout the rest of the week, right around freezing, highs around 50. We'll have complete weather details straight ahead here on WVTT.
Now, WVTT Global News Update.
More bloodshed in the Middle East, a massive explosion in the Gaza Strip in the early hours of Monday. And Palestinian officials say at least 11 people were killed overnight by Israeli airstrikes. Now, Sunday was the deadliest day of the conflict thus far, with 32 Palestinians killed in Gaza. More than 600 people have been injured since the attacks began last week. Israeli airstrikes have left some Gaza residents living in rubble. CNN's Sarah Snyder went to meet families digging through the ruins of their homes.
This is the result of a blast so powerful, a boulder-sized chunk of the road below hurled through the roof of this two-story home. Inside, signs children slept here.
Where was the baby?
The babies were under the rubble here and here. They were sleeping with their father over here. Suddenly, the house collapsed. The brother ran to them. He found them under this rock, she says. Relatives say a 2-year-old and 4-year-old were crushed to death. Their father is still alive. The children's aunt shows us around. There's blood on this boulder, and dirt weighs down on everything in the room. Mourning in an apartment below, we find the children's 22-year-old mother. I am in shock. I don't believe it. My 2 children, they are priceless to me. My life is now very difficult, she says. She says an airstrike hit just outside her home about 1:30 in the morning. When we arrive, huge piles of dirt are being moved around by a bulldozer. The neighbors say it is filling the crater left by the strike. A few streets away, in the same neighborhood, it looks like the aftermath of a strong earthquake. But residents say this also was the result of an airstrike.
You look to your left, destruction. People picking out things anything they can find. And if you look to your right, destruction. The building next to it blown out. And we are standing on what was the roof of a 3-story building.
In the street below, the man in green holds his head in astonishment. He says he had a warning the strike was coming, but felt powerless. The IDF called us. They warned us at first. We didn't believe them. Then they hit us with a small rocket on the roof. 10 minutes after that, they hit the house, he says. By then, everybody in his house had evacuated with no time to rescue their belongings. 15 of his neighbors were wounded, but no one died here. The Israeli military says there were 100-plus airstrikes in a 24-hour period, but could not confirm that it was responsible for either hit in a neighborhood it says is known for launching rockets towards Israel. We ourselves saw rockets blasting from the area, leaving a trail of smoke over the neighborhood mosque. Long after the rockets and bombardment stops, citizens on both sides will be left with the scars of war.
Superstorm Sandy's cleanup is full of twists and turns, and at times thieves and con artists. For one thing, some towing companies may be taking advantage of the disaster, ripping off cars and leaving owners in the lurch. Susan Candiotti shows us what police officers are doing to put a brake on the con.
Yeah, look where the water went up on that.
Tow trucks are in huge demand after Sandy, and police are keeping an eye on them.
There's still cars sitting out here that gotta go.
Since the storm, they've been clearing the way for emergency vehicles, getting rid of destroyed cars, hauling away boats swept into the middle of the street. But as police learned in Katrina, disasters are prime territory for shady operators to steal cars, targeting older models that can be sold at junkyards without paperwork. $500 a pop.
Actually, there's no writing on the truck. I'm even more curious about this guy.
We shadowed the New York Police Auto Crime Unit, spot-checking towers, making sure they're towing the line.
The truck that isn't marked, they might not have the proper equipment on the truck, not proper documents, unlicensed drivers, not paperwork.
At night, it's often easier to get away with illegal tows.
It's pitch black out here. You can't see anything. It's very dark. They can sneak in and out of neighborhoods, grab cars and leave.
Along the way, we stop at this lot where a lot of tow trucks have dropped off their vehicles. You see the markings here? Has to do with insurance company, and you can see the condensation that's still inside this car. Over here, this SUV is filled with muck from the ocean. What a mess inside that engine. And this car still has water in the headlight. Let's give it a shake so you can see it. Most are totaled. Some will be auctioned for parts, but others will be sold, often without the buyer knowing it was in a flood. And that can be a safety hazard.
Anything from electrical problems to not running correctly, all your lights, just everything, not performing. There's a reason why the insurance company totaled it out and didn't fix it. It's not worth fixing.
For now, police are monitoring the lot to make sure cars don't disappear without permission. In Seaside Heights, New Jersey, authorities seized records of one towing company. Prosecutors are investigating whether the business improperly hauled away storm-damaged boats and cars and overcharged owners to get them back. After several attempts, we were unable to reach the company for comment.
Yeah, there's a flatbed, I believe, with a van on it, or an SUV. I want to see.
He's down off this block.
Yeah.
No trouble on this patrol. New York police hope their efforts keep illegal tow trucks off the road. Susan Candiotti, CNN, New York.
And Thanksgiving is later this week, making it one of the busiest travel weeks of the year. Millions of people are expected to rely on the airlines to get them to their destinations. Sandra Endo has a look at what the airlines are doing to make sure planes are ready for takeoff.
A lot is riding on people like Michael Baumgarten, as more than 24 million travelers are expected to fly this Thanksgiving week. He's a technician for United Airlines.
The airplane is just pulled into the gate. We do a routine walk-on inspection every time they come in.
We went behind the scenes at Houston Intercontinental Airport to see what mechanics do before passengers board.
Walk-on inspection is just that. We walk around and look at all the critical things.
So what are you checking for here?
Anything at all broken, leaking, worn out. If there's something wrong, in this case, you'll know about it.
Technicians get at least half an hour to check every plane that lands. They inspect the entire plane all around it to make sure everything's okay before the next flight. United is anticipating a peak load of more than 600 flights through Houston the day before Thanksgiving. And passengers want them running safely and on time. A lot of times as a passenger we hear, oh, your flight's not ready because of a maintenance issue. What does that mean for us?
If the airplane is not all safe and legal, it can't go.
The safety checks are inside and out. On United's new 787 Dreamliner, technicians examine the electronics.
We're just going over some problems that we've had in the past and talking about ways we can keep it from happening again in the future.
And every 4 years or so, every plane goes through a major safety overhaul. What are they working on here?
This is a 757. They will completely open the airplane up, inspect everything, replace a lot of components, lubricate everything, put it back together.
Most mechanical problems are logged in flight so base crews know what's wrong before the plane even lands. But it's not always a quick fix.
We do the best we can. They didn't build it in a day. We can't always fix it, in just 5 minutes. But we always get them fixed.
And a big update on Wall Street. Let's take a look at the big board. The Dow up 207 points to close at 12,795. Also an update for the NASDAQ and the S&P up as well. So some big gains on Wall Street. That's WVTT Business. Still to come on the 6 o'clock report. A look at WVTT Sports. We've got weather straight ahead. Here I am as well. That's all coming up here on News Channel 25, WVTT.